Today, I'm going to be making chocolate pecan pie bars. These are by Adele Goff. I will try to find the link and put it below so that you can print out this recipe if this looks appealing to you. I'm going to go over all the ingredients first. You need 1.5 cups of flour, 1/4 cup cornstarch, 1/2 cup brown sugar, 3/4 cup butter softened. Those are your ingredients for the crust. Then for the filling, you need 3/4 cup light corn syrup. We use Karo syrup. 1 cup sugar, 3 eggs lightly beaten. So just take a fork and lightly beat them. 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. 4 tablespoons of butter melted. 2 cups of pecans chopped. I just bought a bag of chopped pecans. And then 1 cup semi-sweet chocolate chips. You want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. You want to line, and this is what they say, and then I'll tell you what I did. Line a 9 by 13 by 9 inch pan with foil and then spray it with cooking spray. Well, you know I don't do that. I use parchment paper. If you use parchment paper, you don't need to spray it with anything. So I say buy parchment paper and go the easy route and line your, we call this our lasagna pan. Line your lasagna pan with parchment paper and call it a day. You want to mix the crust ingredients together in a mixer with a paddle attachment, or you can do it with a fork by hand until crumbly. So you want to put your flour, it's 4 ingredients, sorry for the noise, flour, cornstarch, brown sugar, and butter. Looks nice and crumbly, like a crust, like a good crust should. And so what I'm going to do is you're going to take this and do exactly what you think. You're going to pour it into the pan and then spread it out and press it down. And I am going to use my fingers and try to get it as even as you can. And if Kevin wants to remove my clips while I'm doing this, he can. Yeah, I always use like chip clips or whatever I can find. I've used clothespins or whatever you have that you can clip. So you press it down, and then you're gonna bake this in your 350 degree oven. You're gonna bake it for 12 to 15 minutes. I'll probably go for, I don't know, I'll probably go for about the whole 15 minutes. And that looks nice and even. It feels good. And we'll be back. So now you want to take corn syrup, which I poured my corn syrup. I went ahead and poured it in here because it takes a while. Corn syrup, sugar, eggs. I do that every time I hit the side of the bowl. Eggs, butter, and vanilla. And you want to use a whisk. And if you want to whisk this by hand, you absolutely can. But you want to whisk this until it is creamy. This looks really creamy to me. And our crust also just came out of the oven. So we have it here. So now you want to stir in your chocolate chips and your chopped pecans. Then you want to pour this over your crust. Want to put this back in the oven. I'm going to try to spread it out a little bit, make sure all my crust is covered. It is. Put this back in the oven and let it bake for 25 to 30 minutes. I'm gonna let it bake for 28 minutes and then we'll be back. So this is how the bars, doesn't look like bars yet, but you don't cut them yet. You leave them here until they're cooled completely. And then once they're cooled, you cut them. Now, once it's cooled completely, you can cut it and go ahead and eat them. You store them in an airtight container. The author of the recipe actually said that she likes them better the next day. So what we're gonna do is I'm not even going to cut them. I'm going to let them cool completely. I'm going to cover this completely and leave it overnight. I'm going to cut them and try them and everything, but I'm gonna wait a whole day to do that since she said they're better. It is the next day. You can see we just took, Kevin took some plastic wrap and covered this up. And so we have not touched them. And we didn't put them in the refrigerator or anything like that. Just leave them out. There's no need to refrigerate them. Kevin did a good job putting this plastic wrap on there. Okay, I never do that good of a job. Okay, the magic of parchment paper. Are you ready? Yay! And you clean pan. You don't have to wash your pan. Okay, so hopefully this didn't stick too bad. Go. I usually do not, when I use parchment paper like this, I usually don't wait overnight. So I'm not used to like this little edge piece stuck. I'm not used to that because normally I would have totally pulled this out yesterday and cut it and this would not have happened. And I could have gone ahead and cut it and then tried it today, but that's okay. It just stuck a little bit on that one edge. But you can see that it's still better than, having to use foil and all that stuff. In half, I cut one bar in half because frankly we're doing this review at a time that we normally wouldn't be eating a dessert, so that's why I cut it in half, and we will eat more later, trust me. The recipe, it's called Chocolate Pecan Pie Bars, but it does say in the recipe, if you prefer not to use chocolate, you can just leave the chocolate out and you can add more pecans. For that matter, you could, instead of using chocolate chips, you could use peanut butter chips and make peanut butter pecan pie bars or whatever, butterscotch or white chocolate or whatever chips of your choice. They make cinnamon chips, you know, so you could easily do that. We're using a fork as well. You can pick these up with your hand. They are a traditional bar, which for me a bar is something you can hold in your hand, but they're kind of sticky from the sweet, all that sweet stuff. So that's why we're using a fork.
That's good.
That is delicious.
That particular piece you got has a lot of chocolate in it. So you got a lot of chocolate flavor. Then I got some of the edge that's more pecan, and so the pecan comes out a little bit more. It's really good. It's very sweet.
I love the crust. It reminds you. It reminds me some of like a Derby pie because it does have pecans and chocolate. It has more pecans though than I'm used to in a Derby pie. I love it though. I love the crust.
Yeah,
I think it's absolutely delicious.
Like jelly, like the sugary jelly like stuff in the middle.
Just like a pecan pie.
Just like a pecan pie.
Yes. Well,
it's good. It was pretty easy to make.
Yes. I would definitely make these again. And I know that we love them and the family will love them as well. And it makes plenty. You saw me cutting them. I do an awful job at cutting because I just, you know, when after you've made something for a while, you know how it's supposed to look and you do a better job. Since this was my first time cutting them, I just couldn't visualize how big I wanted them. So some are really big, some are small. But I think if you made these a little bit smaller, it's a lot of flavor in a tiny bar.
Yeah, they're really good.
You don't need a huge slice.
And I can see we're not putting chocolate chips in there would just make it more of a pecan pie flavor.
Yes, yes.
So whichever way you want to do it. I think it's good with the chocolate, but it'd also be really good with just pecan.
Absolutely. So you'll have to let me know if you make this, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.